Last month, the Boundary Commission published its preliminary proposals for the nationwide review of the parliamentary constituency boundaries. These proposals, which are part of the government's plans to reduce the number of MPs to 600 and equalise the size of constituencies, will significantly affect Newcastle and its surrounding areas should they go ahead. There was already discussion in the area about the political implications of another boundary review, yet the published results seem to be more controversial than expected. Newcastle currently has 3 seats: Central, East and North. Under the new proposals, there will now be 4 Newcastle constituencies that also draws in North Tyneside and Northumberland.
I'm in the suburb of Jesmond, which at present sits entirely in the Newcastle East constituency. The new proposals, however, plan to divide Jesmond into 2, using this street, Fern Avenue, as the boundary. Under the new proposals, if you live in the houses behind me, you'd be voting for an MP for Newcastle Central seat, but move across the other side of the road and residents will be voting for an MP in Newcastle South constituency.
Well, to be quite honest, it's ridiculous. They've been trying to do this for years. It's not anything at all to do about sort of local community or what the local community thinks. It's about number crunching and, their own ends.
I don't think it's going to affect life generally. I'm pretty content that we live on one side and we'll vote for one guy, and so what if the neighbours over the other side are going to vote for somebody else? I don't think it's going to affect politics in the region. Not a problem. The boundary has to go somewhere.
Well, we're already in 2 constituencies for the local council, but it does seem strange to perpetuate this division. Let's put the boundary down a back lane, I think.
Yeah, here.
And this is not just proposed for Jesmond, but in neighbouring Heaton and all over the country too. Questions are being raised about whether the Boundary Commission has been too concerned with trying to make the numbers work, and as a result has seemingly ignored local or community identity as a basis for creating constituencies.
Obviously this was something that had to happen. We always believe as Conservatives that it's fair that everyone has equal representation across the country, and having equal sized seats of around 75,000 electors is fair, and that's right, and I support the moves we've gone through Parliament to bring this forward. Obviously this has created some difficulty as inevitably it results in some communities having to be split up to equalise things, but my overall impression is it's much fairer that we have equal sized constituencies with MPs representing roughly the same number of electors. We've got to try best we can to put communities together, but unfortunately sometimes to get the quota right we're going to have to split up communities.
I can see what the national proposal is trying to do in terms of reducing the number of MPs as there's cuts to everything else going on at the minute. I don't think the MP should be exempt from that, and that involves inevitably going to involve an evening up of the constituency size of population, so I'm not against that. I think that was probably a good thing. There's a variety from about 60,000 up to about 90,000 in the current constituency, so that's not really very fair. However, the difficulty is always going to be trying to create a relatively equal size of seats, but respecting natural communities and natural sorts of communities of interest and natural boundaries. And I'm not sure the current proposals have really got the jigsaw pieces all fitting together as well as they could for Newcastle at least. The Lib Dems are trying to do at the moment is to make representations to the Electoral Commission, making some alterations to the Newcastle proposals, which would try and respect some of the more obvious communities such as Jesmond and Heaton. At the moment, though, the current boundaries, Gosforth is currently split between 2 seats, so it's not always possible to get exactly right, but we think a bit of fine-tuning would be probably sensible in this case.
The boundary changes are due to come into effect ready for the 2015 general election, but the proposals will be subject to consultation over the next 2 years. The first public hearing for Newcastle area will be held in the Civic Centre on the 14th and 15th of November.
The residents of Fern Avenue are certainly hoping for redrafted proposals that keep Jesmond together as one community. Sophie Borkham, Jesmond Local.